channel Alissa Jadyn. This kid's cartoon episode aged terribly, and the cartoon Braceface. Listen, I've never really watched Braceface. I've seen it when I was younger, but I never really watched it. Alright? I never really watched it, but if anybody watched Braceface or remember Braceface, you can let me know. Was it your favorite cartoon? Does it give you nostalgia? Did you like it? There's actually some controversy with one episode. We'll see what it's about. Oh, you remember it, Nitro? I remember seeing it when I was younger, but I never watched it or seen any clips or anything. I just saw it somewhere. I don't know if it was in passing or what. Wait, did I like the video? Yeah, I did like Alissa Jadyn.
Someone left a comment on one of
Wasn't a favorite, but you watched it for sure. Okay.
my Proud Family videos where I was discussing grooming and said that Braceface has a similar episode where one of the young female characters was trying to grab the affections of her teacher.
Interesting. Interesting. So these shows actually tackle that? So the episode, she was trying to get the affection of her teacher. Interesting. So is it that she had a crush on her teacher and she didn't know she didn't know the boundaries or anything, or was the teacher at fault? Hey, I've went through in my younger years having crush on teachers, but the teacher should be the one to set the boundary. Braceface was a teenager. Oh, so that was the demographic. Okay. Listen, when I was younger and I had crushes on teachers, the teacher was the one who had to set the boundary. I didn't know what boundaries were. All I know is I liked the teacher and I wanted to get her affection. Alright? But the teacher should be the one to set the boundary to let the child know what it is. You know what I mean? So let's continue, see what's going on.
And I said, what the hell are they over there talking about on Braceface?
If you guys want A's on your projects, you should put the same thought and
Yo, why the friend look so shook? The friend see something that we don't. The friend is concerned.
On
Look, you can tell.
Braceface.
if you guys want A's on your
Look how she look pon him hand.
projects, you should put the same thought and imagination into them as Maria just did.
Can you believe he complimented me in front of everyone? But I almost died when he put his hands on my shoulders.
Take it easy, take it easy, take it easy. Oh, Nitro, you say cartoons did similar things. Boy Meets World, Lizzie McGuire, and That's So Raven. Yeah, I remember watching Lizzie McGuire and That's So Raven. Yeah, they did it for real. But I don't really remember how it played out or how they tackled it. But I remember seeing situations like that. Actually, it was a trend in the 2000s. Most cartoons did that. That trope where the teenager or the student like the teacher, but usually in the end the boundary would be set and then they would understand that they can't, continue doing that to the teacher. So I'll see how this one play
That
out.
totally gave me the chills.
Alright, Alissa
What's good,
Jadyn.
guys? It's Alyssa. If you're new here, hello. First things first, y'all
Hello.
know I gotta get the formalities out the way. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky. All that information is in my
Okay.
description box down below. I also have a second channel where I post more lifestyle stuff. I'm definitely gonna be sticking to the cartoon content on this channel. I also have a Sims channel that I post on very frequently. So if you're into Sims
Yeah.
content and you're into Alyssa content,
Yo, this is like a nostalgia blast. I miss the 2000 to Demetrius. Nitro, they tackle them just like a different world, makes the situation feel real so you realize what is happening. That's true. Me remember a different world. Yo, I loved a different world. I didn't watch all of it, but the episodes that I did watch, a different world was just so relatable, you know? A different world was so cool.
Those two worlds have definitely collided. And of course, I always want to shout out my patrons over on Patreon who got early access to this video and other videos down the line. I also have a
Okay,
couple
okay,
watch
shout
alongs
out
on there
Patreon.
if you are in the Prismo tier where I watched War of the Worlds for the first time, and you'll
Okay,
see my
okay.
initial reaction of
Double
watching
sponsors,
that
double
Netflix
sponsors,
documentary
okay.
Unknown Number, and I also gave my thoughts on that on this channel as well. But with that out the
Cool,
way,
cool.
let's get into it. Braceface is one of those shows where you remember watching them as a kid, but it definitely feels like a fever dream. Kind of like Sagwa on PBS Kids or
Sagwa! Yo, this just unlock a memory for me. Sagwa with that cat, yo. May I have a moment, may I have a brain blast moment right now? And memory literally just get unlocked in my mind a while ago. I remember watching Sagwa or seeing Sagwa. Yo, brother, nostalgia is taking me over right now. Yo, yo, brother, memory unlock. Whoa. Anybody remember Sagwa?
Making Fiends or even Stoked. I remember in high school I was telling
Making fiends. Yo, all of these unlocking memories for me right now,
one
brother.
of my friends how much I love the show Cat Scratch on Nickelodeon, and they were literally looking at me as if I was talking to an imaginary friend standing next to me, as if that show just never existed. So, from my recollection, I thought that Braceface was a show about middle school kids that got into crazy hijinks, kind of like the middle school version of 16. Shout out to Canada. But
Okay.
like never really discussed real issues that kids face, and I was totally wrong. If you didn't know, on this channel I do cover different shows like Daria and the Proud Family, and I talk about real life issues that these shows tackle. And the
Yeah,
reasons why it's so important to put that in children's programming, because it's no perfect time to talk about these real issues, and it's better to have these discussions earlier rather than later instead of
that's good. That's really good. I agree. You know, these cartoons, they're the best place to portray struggles and put lessons and things like that in it. Kids go through a lot, you know. Kids go through a lot that adults don't see or that adults sometimes overlook, sadly. And when they put these real life issues into the kids' shows, the kids can relate and then they can learn and see how to tackle those situations. Even like the Proud Family, yo. A lot of times you overlook these cartoons, bro. But when you see it and you watch it and you see how many real life things they put in their issues, life lessons, but nowadays that gone. Everything is woke, brother. Everything has to be LGBTQ, everything has to be explicit, everything has to be an agenda behind it. Real life issues and life lessons and morals, those things don't exist no more in nowadays cartoons. They always have to just push an agenda and it's so sad. All of the remakes what they're making these days have some kind of agenda and it lose that thing that made it special in the first place. Like the Proud Family, the one that they remade. Even the Scooby-Doo remake, Velma. It's just terrible.
sending your child out into the world unprepared when these situations do arise. So, as a Tubi-holic, I have been binging Braceface, watching it every single day while I'm playing Sims or doom scrolling until I finally got to the episode titled Teacher's Pet, where our main character, Sharon's best friend Maria, starts to develop a crush on her substitute English teacher and goes to great lengths to get his affections. The episode starts with Sharon and Maria's English teacher, Mrs. Morton, not being available to teach because she just had a baby. So they're left with
Okay.
this new young substitute teacher, Mr. Riley, for the rest of the year.
Now, Mr. Riley and I expect nothing less than your best behavior for the next few weeks.
Yo, look for yo, the substitute teacher now play, you know. Immediately he must show him personality. And I like that. You see him just saying, yo, this man yapping away, showing say he's more of a playful, open person. But you can see the little subtlety. Immediately the girl had her eyes on him. Immediately that infatuation, you can see it.
They kind of introduced Mr. Riley as this attractive 20 something, maybe early 30s type teacher, slightly racially ambiguous fine shit, pretty much. And immediately you notice that Maria has googly eyes for him, or at least is intrigued as soon as he walks into the class. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that a student having a crush on their teacher is just completely unheard of.
Yeah, that's normal. That's very normal because children, teenagers, they're very impressionable. They're going through a lot of changes, a lot of hormonal stuff. So they will feel a lot of feelings, right? That's perfectly normal to have a crush on someone older, teacher, person of authority, right? But then where the problem lies is when they don't learn boundaries or learn that certain feelings towards certain people shouldn't be continued. You know what I mean? It's just how you deal with it, you know what I mean?
I remember in school when there was a younger male teacher, all the girls thought he was just so cute, and vice versa. If there was a younger female teacher, all the guys thought that she was cute. Not justifying it at all. Just saying, I remember this growing up. But in this show, the kids immediately think that Mr. Riley is just so cool because instead of doing work, he tells the class that they're gonna head outside and play a game. But before that, there's this weird scene where before he exits the class, he stops and looks back and locks eyes with Maria. And my skin just started crawling. So I was like, what are we brewing up in this episode? What are we doing here? There
Could be, I get what she's saying. It could be looked at as a weird scene or something that, but I think it was innocent. I think, well, from my context, what I'm seeing, he's just looking back. He's looking at her because obviously she's staring at him. But he's just looking, he's just looking at her. She's there, a student in the class, but she's the one fawning over him. Let me see if I can look back on it.
he stops and looks
If you can see the way he's looking, it's just a normal look, like he's just looking back, you know what I'm saying?
back and locks eyes with
But she's the one that has that, that look in her eye, like she's the one fawning while he's just there looking regularly. I don't think it's that weird. To me, maybe that's just my opinion. I don't see it as, anything suggestive based from what I'm seeing.
Maria, and my skin just started crawling. So I was like, what are we brewing up in this episode? What are we doing here? Their original teacher, Mrs. Morton, gave him a syllabus to follow, telling him that the students have to do an oral book report. But since he doesn't know what books the kids are supposed to be doing reports on, he decides to have them play a game of charades to figure out their book or the author. He asks if anyone would want to go first, and Maria eagerly raises her hand to act out her book report's author. Maria is pretty good at charades, and the students are able to guess the author of her book, who ends up being George Orwell. And to
Okay.
no one's surprise, Mr. Riley is the one who guessed correctly, and the title of the book somehow.
Wow!
Well, Snorwell, Orwell, George Orwell. 1984 by George Orwell?
I really doubt any of the
Okay.
students would have guessed correctly anyway. Like, they got the clues, but they didn't guess the author because
Yeah, I don't think they would have get the author, honestly. Only the teacher would have the big brain enough to figure that out. Probably the kids would remember the book or remember certain things or catch a little on, but as she's saying, I don't really think, they will be able to fully figure it out.
we find out that the most Maria knows about this book is the title and the author because she hasn't actually read it.
I can't wait to see your final report tomorrow.
This was fun. Now I might even read the book.
So I'm assuming that that's the case for the rest of the class as well. Mr. Riley tells
Yeah,
Maria
nobody
that
no
she did
really
a
like for
great
read.
job and he appreciates her enthusiasm to participate and that he can't wait for her final report tomorrow. Now,
Okay,
I'm gonna be honest, this
normal
part
stuff
was
so
a little bit
far.
weird to me because it literally just kept going. Like, I understand words of encouragement, but it kept going.
Good job. You're awesome. Thanks for going first. I really appreciate your enthusiasm.
Thanks.
Sharon invites Maria.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm not seeing anything wrong so far. I'm just seeing a regular interaction. She went first. Listen, I worked in a school before. I was a teacher before, lab tech before, and all this is like just regular things. Like you're new, you're there, somebody just, come up, introduce yourself, they volunteer, they were the first one to volunteer, probably the only one to volunteer. That to me, I've actually done that, like, see, like saying, hey, good job. I appreciate you coming first. I'm looking forward to seeing your report because you're showing promise. You're the only one that actually come up and you know what I say, you know what I mean. You're the only one that participated. So I'm only familiar with you. I'm not really familiar with anyone else because no one else participated. But that's from my perspective, based on my background. I don't really see anything wrong with that so far. The only thing I see wrong or weird is how the girl is reacting. Because what the teacher is doing is normal, but the girl is reacting weird to it. Like she's the one fawning over him, giving him those looks and all of that, you know what I mean? But that's how I'm seeing it so far.
Maria to hang after school, but Maria decides that she's gonna actually work on her book report tonight since, again, she didn't actually read the book and it's due tomorrow.
I'm gonna stay home and start my project. Ooh, teacher's pet. Takes one to know one.
Sharon calls her a teacher's pet, which is true by definition. A teacher's pet
Okay.
is a pupil who has won the teacher's special favor, or a person who's treated as the favorite by one in authority. This also happens to be the title of the episode, which kind of makes you believe that it starts with Mr. Riley showing favoritism towards Maria, when really it starts with Maria doing everything she can to be in the good graces of Mr. Riley.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes because based on what I said before, I don't see the teacher doing anything wrong. I don't see the teacher doing anything weird. It's the girl who is taking it the wrong way, looking at him, fawning over him, and doing all that. Because usually when it comes to teacher's pet, as I said before, when you're new to a class, you tend to gravitate more to those who are participating and those who are, just working with the program, working with your curricula. So if you go into a class and only one person participate, only one person answer a question, only one person does the activity, naturally you're going to gravitate to them. Naturally you're going to be familiar with them as a teacher. And I think that's what happened with on the teacher's end. You get what I'm saying?
So I don't know what that would be called, but two things can be true at once, of course, because you see that Mr. Riley does value her as a student over time. But this episode has more to do with Maria's sudden romantic feelings towards her teacher than it is her being a teacher's pet. Anyways, somehow while the girls are walking home, here comes Mr. Riley on a bike and popping wheelies.
Hey, Maria! Hey, Sharon!
Was that Mr.
The man
Riley?
can wheelie. Yo.
So cool.
And Maria thought this was the coolest thing that somebody could have ever done. And that's the thing about childhood crushes, even taboo ones like this, where any adult that sees a grown man riding past them on a bike popping wheelies would probably think that that was corny and lame. Like, I don't want no scrubs.
No, brother, what corny or lame about doing wheelies on a bike, brother? You know about bike? Bike riding when you have your bike, brother, and you're skating down the road and you bust a wheelie, especially if you don't drop or you drift with the wheelie. Who know about that? Corny weird, brother. No, brother. No, man. No, 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 no. Man, cool for real, brother. How many people can pull off a wheelie without falling off or embarrassing themselves? Not many. Not many.
Scrubs is guy that can't get no love from me, hanging out the passenger side of his best friend ride, trying to holler at me type beat, right? But Maria, who is an adolescent, thought that this was so cool and that the bike that he had was just so awesome and this made his aura points go up or whatever. So during this entire episode, Sharon is trying to get Maria to give the school flirt and class clown Brock a chance, which is funny to me because Brock has also tried to pine after Sharon, and Sharon wasn't going for it because all the girls at school thinks that he's lame and immature. So I don't know why she thought that Maria would want Brock, who is probably the most vocal in her disgust for him.
Is he serious? Brock, thanks for saving me a chair.
Hey,
At Sharon's house, she's doing her homework with her boyfriend Alden, and she reveals to him that she thinks that Maria has a crush on Mr. Riley.
he's okay. What do you
It's
think?
obvious.
That Maria
It
has a
should be
crush on him.
obvious.
Why won't you just give Brock a chance? He's a little closer to her age.
And in the middle of this conversation, Maria actually stops by to ask Sharon to borrow a skirt. This completely throws Sharon off because Maria is not the skirt wearing type. And even worse, she wants to wear the
Interesting.
skirt specifically to give her oral report in front of the whole classroom. And
Red flag. This is where the boundaries are starting to be pushed. Listen, it's a very, as I mentioned before, students or adolescents, teenagers having crush on their teachers or adults in general is a natural thing. They're growing, they're experiencing hormonal changes, they feel a lot of feelings, their emotions are all over the place. It's natural to feel those things. However, there needs to be boundaries and they need to know the boundaries. They need to know that even though these feelings are natural, it's not okay to harbor them towards someone who is older than you, especially if you're a teen, minor, and those things. And it's the teacher's responsibility to notice if there's those feelings involved, seeing if the boundaries are being pressed, and set the boundary and nip it in the bud. Okay? Let me just put that disclaimer there. Now, this is a red flag. Wearing a skirt to the obviously she will try impress him, get his attention for him to look at her. This is where it's beginning to cross the boundary. Everything before has been innocent, okay, childlike, a little crush, but now is where it's starting to go overboard.
more specifically in front of Mr. Riley.
What's tomorrow?
My book report in front of the whole class, remember? You never wear skirts. I've never had a reason to before.
So the next day, Maria comes to school in not only a skirt, but some platform shoes that she can barely walk in and lip gloss.
How do I look? Amazing. But let me fix your lip gloss.
Maria asks Sharon for reassurance that Mr. Riley would like her look, and Sharon says definitely. And this threw me off because for someone who has been anti-Maria crushing on Mr. Riley, I thought it was crazy that Sharon was feeding into this nonsense. And look, it's not uncommon for a student to develop this admiration or attachment towards their teacher, and I'm sure this is because of a teacher's role as a positive figure in a student's life. I often talk about this on my channel about adults who do not receive a lot of positive affirmations verbally from their authority figures at home tend to seek it in different ways in their adult life. Words of affirmation are a crucial part for children's early development. There's this innate need to be validated in all things that you do, and there's a direct cause and effect when you receive that validation in your early development.
Well, she's right so far. With a child development, yes, that is extremely crucial to get that validation, words of affirmation to build their self-esteem so that they can feel highly of themselves, so that they can feel love. However, it's not just if that is lacking where they can develop these taboo feelings, right? Just in general, people with authority tend to receive more attraction. People generally tend to be more attracted to people who have positions of authority or people who have leadership roles. This is especially more common for the young and impressionable. It might not just be the case that they're lacking that validation or affirmation. You get what I'm saying? But it can just be because they're in a position of power or authority, because of there's that attraction there, it just happens to breed this. You get what I'm saying? So there's a lot of nuance to it. What she's saying is right, but I'm also just showing a different perspective, you know what I'm saying? It's saying Nitro, you remember the episode? You hope they show the end of the episode because they think it has a good ending. Alright, I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that.
And when you don't. From your parents, it's a form of parental familial type love that's received and is interpreted as such. But these feelings of admiration towards their teacher can sometimes be muddled and often intensified because of how close and consistent the interaction of validation is from this authority figure, i.e., the teacher in this episode. I will say that this is a phase for many students and it usually fades over time and it can be completely harmless as long as it is not acted upon. But
Yeah, this is what I mean before when I said boundaries. Because before she started wearing the skirt and makeup and everything, it was innocent. As I say, I don't think she's factoring in the hormonal part as well because the mind is impressionable, going through hormones, emotions, changes, puberty, all these different things. So that's a factor. However, when it's being acted upon, when the boundaries is being crossed, her wearing the skirt and doing the makeup and everything, that it broke the boundary. That's where it began to get out of hand. It might have been subtle, and yes, she mentioned that she don't understand why the friend is going along with it, but you have to understand the friend is also her age. The friend doesn't really understand that much as well because she's at the end of the day she's her friend, she's supporting her friend. You know, her friend looks nice, she looks nice, her self-esteem is up, so she'll go along with it. Children will be children. That's all it is. And children, till whenever they say something, they always go back on their word or go back on their thoughts all the time. They're not really consistent with their convictions, and that's normal. They go through a lot of changes emotionally, mentally, so I think that's another perspective as well.
as an adult, I will say that you can peep things that a child may not recognize is happening. So I'm not putting it past Mr. Riley seeing Maria dress and behave in a certain way on the first day when they met, then her starting to become a whole different person as class continues, and also her continuous pursuit of his affections are known to half the class damn near. So I'm almost positive that he's aware of this too. And it's always, and I mean always, the job of the adults to be the adult in the situation and nip things in the bud instead of feeding into the delusion. I think any
Yeah,
rational
yeah, I did
adult
say
would
that
react
earlier
like
though.
this,
Yeah.
unless,
I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC, and we're doing a story.
Hey,
honestly, I'm just
yo.
impressed that Maria read her book so fast, literally in one singular night, to be able to give her presentation the following morning. Like, she was on some real vamping shit. Nobody says vamping.
Yeah, that's another important point to Nitro. He's a substitute teacher, so he doesn't really know how they fully act. That's true as well. He's a new teacher, he's there. He doesn't know her long enough to notice that how she's behaving is a change. You know what I mean? Like she said, he should have noticed that she's becoming a different person, but he's new. Like the day he came, she did the presentation. Then the next day, she started wearing dresses, makeup. He wouldn't be able to know that she's becoming a different person. He thinks that she's becoming more of herself. Probably he thinks that she was shy and now she's becoming less shy rather than changing herself to try to get his attention.
Anymore. Let's bring back old lingo. Anyway, the whole class is entertained by her presentation, and even Mr. Riley is impressed.
Excellent job, Maria. Listen up.
Nice.
If you guys want A's on your projects, you should put the same thought and imagination into them as Maria just did.
He stands in
Nice.
front of the class with her to tell everyone they should follow her lead, putting his hand on her shoulder. The sight of this completely shook Sharon to her core. She found this absolutely inappropriate. While for Maria, it gave her some
I wouldn't say inappropriate. Well, say Nitro, he wouldn't know until she actually acts towards him, which is true. Which is true. Everything that she has been doing so far has been subtle. It isn't something that you would raise a red flag over being a substitute teacher. After that, we can actually judge it. Yeah, that's true. Listen, I think the way how the girl reacted, I don't think she reacted because it was out of hand, as she's saying. I don't think it was inappropriate. I think the girl is reacting that way because she knows that she has a crush with the teacher, and that will just cause her crush to become more apparent. Like she's saying, yo, it's going downhill now. This will only feed into her delusions because that is a very regular thing. She did very well on her, you know, presentation. He's there. He rests his hand on her shoulder. That's an innocent thing. That happens a lot. You just rest your hand on someone's shoulder, rest it. It's like a parental thing, right? And you're just there telling the class to follow in her lead, right? But I think the friend is looking at it to say she sees how the girl is looking at the teacher's hand, and she's seeing that and she's saying, okay, this is going too far. It's going too far. She needs to understand and know now that this is going too far. That's what I think. I don't think she sees it as inappropriate. I think her reaction is based on how her friend is looking at the teacher now.
unexpected validation in front of everyone.
Did you see the way he clapped? It was loud, right? Like he really meant it. Can you believe he complimented me in front of everyone? You deserved it. But I almost died when he put his hands on my shoulders. It
Whoa,
totally gave me the chills.
Sharon
whoa.
mostly thinks that this is so odd that Maria has a crush on him because he's old.
Mr. Riley and I have a connection. But he's old. Really old. Like 25 or something.
I'm like, what do you say fuck me for?
I guess
Yo, yo, that was wild. That was wild. That was wild.
I like mature guys.
Sharon is still trying to get Maria to go after Brock instead of Mr. Riley, but Maria says that she just likes a mature guy, and Brock is definitely not mature. Mind you, they're in middle school. But girl, Mr. Riley is not the mature that you're looking for. Maria starts obsessing over her looks and even starts to wear her hair down.
What do you think Riley's gonna wear to the open house tonight? Do you think he'll be in teacher's clothes or his normal ones?
And with open house coming up tonight, Maria is anxious because Mr. Riley is going to be there. And as she puts it, will be meeting her parents. So she's scared of her parents potentially being cringe in front of Mr. Riley. But Sharon is more concerned that Maria is becoming more girly than her. At the open house, Mr. Riley pulls Maria's parents to tell them how great of a student Maria is and what a pleasure she is to have in the class. And again, putting his hand on her shoulder. And my issue with Mr.
Hold on, hold on. Why does she have such a problem with him putting his hand on her shoulder, bro? That's a normal interaction. That's a normal thing to do. I don't know, maybe I don't see that as anything wrong. That is done all the time, actually. As I tell you before, I've worked in a school. I've worked in a teacher role before, and I've worked around students, right? And that is just a form of indication to show the student, or just a gesture, to be honest, to just put your hand on the student's shoulder when you're talking to them or talking about them. It's just a simple gesture. It's not nothing weird or nothing out of this world. So I see that she mentioned it twice now. I don't know why I don't know if it's different for you all in America, but here in Jamaica, that's not really seen as anything. It's just a gesture. When you're talking to the child or talking about the child, it's not a problem to just put your hand on their shoulder. I don't, there's nothing really wrong with that. Principals do it all the time, teachers do it all the time. It's just a normal gesture, to be honest. There's no ill will or ill intent behind it. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. But anybody in the comments in the chat, maybe you can tell me. Nitro depends on the culture of the place, and this woman here probably more modernized. Interesting. So has it become to a point that a simple gesture like resting your hand on a student's shoulder that's looked at as weird? That's looked at as something wrong? I don't understand. Why is that weird to her? Why is that looked at can't touch no one no? Interesting. That's very interesting. No, where you would draw the line is hugs. If hugs were being given, then I would understand that hugs are like a no-no. Because when I was working at teach as a teacher, female students would try to hug me and do these things, and I would have to tell them, no, don't hug me. Don't hug me like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't do hugs because you know what I mean? It's just seen as inappropriate. No, a female teacher can hug another female student, or a female teacher can hug a boy student because that's like a motherly thing. That's like a motherly nurturing thing. But when it comes to the man now hugging, that one is just, you understand? That one is the red zone. But a simple hand on the shoulder, that's just an innocent gesture. Everyone does it all the time. But I guess it's just the modernized thing, as you say. Culture difference, I guess.
Riley is that he's very hands on. Even in this moment in front of her parents, he's laughing and touching her shoulder.
No, no, no. I think you make it seem more than it actually is. You're saying that he's very touchy. We've only seen him touch her twice. And it's only when he is addressing her in front of people. The first time she did the presentation and he was addressing her to the class and giving her her props. Second time it was with her parents and he was just resting his hand on her shoulder as he was commending her to her parents. I don't think it's that bad where he's touchy feeling. I don't see that. I just see a normal substitute teacher doing teacherly things.
And saying that her compliments are making him blush.
I wouldn't be doing so well if you weren't such a good teacher.
Oh, you're making me blush.
Oh, it's true. I was never really into English until now.
I was really starting to believe that Riley liked Maria as much as she liked him.
And I don't know if
Well, I can see where that can be looked on as weird. I can see, but then again, he's a teacher, he's a substitute teacher. That's just a joke. Listen, I'm not trying to justify anything. I'm not trying to justify this man. I'm just looking at it based on my experience working at schools, working in a teacher role, seeing how teachers operate with their students. And this is just natural, like it's just natural banter. He's just joking around. You understand? This is just natural banter, and plus he's there with her parents. It's not like he's trying to flirt with her or trying to do anything with her. Probably it's a culture thing. It might just be a culture thing because I am here in Jamaica. If you would say that or so, yeah, you're making me blush or so, that's just a simple joke. That's just simple banter. You understand? That's how we see it here in Jamaica. There's nothing ill will about that. There's nothing strange, weird, or anything behind it. It's just a simple joke. I don't know. Maybe there's a culture difference.
If I was her parents, I would have clocked that so easy because my trust is already in the dirt. So you wouldn't be making these type of comments in front of me, and there would definitely have to be some type of 6 foot minimum contact. And honestly, I would have reported his ass right there. Like, hello, and she
Report him? Wait, report him for that? Wait, anybody in the chat, tell me what you think about this so far. Would you report him for that? Would you report the teacher for that? Do you see that as something weird? Would you see that as a red flag? I don't know. Probably it's a culture thing. But here where I am, that's not really anything to scoff at. It's just a simple joke. Back then it wasn't. Interesting. But to report him, you think it would be valid to report him for that though? She said she would report him then and there and keep a distance from him. Would that be valid though? I don't think reporting him would be valid. No, no, that, as I said, that one instance would just be seen as a joke or so. But if you see it escalate now, where he's saying different things, escalating from that point, saying more and more suggestive things, after that, then that would become a red flag and, means for. But that one half time, that's just a simple joke, banter. You understand?
definitely would have had to switch classrooms. And again, it's the adult's responsibility to do the right things in this situation. And maybe that was the intention of the show to make him creepy, but like unintentionally creepy. But the way this episode ended did not help. And I personally just find this creepy intentionally. After the open house, Maria just continues to daydream and go on about Riley, claiming that she's in love and not like love, like love.
Are you okay, Maria?
You know, I really think I'm in love.
Wait a minute. Like love or love love?
I'm talking love, love.
Mr. Riley even joins them at lunch, and Sharon caring more about what people think than the actual optics of a teacher choosing to sit with students at lunch, decides to get her and Maria to move tables once he sits down, but Maria decides to stay.
Hey, guys, mind if I join you?
There was nothing more uncool than being seen with a teacher at lunch. But here was Maria wanting him to sit next to her. She was definitely in deep with this one. We were just leaving. You coming, Maria? You go ahead.
Well, this one, I don't really know about this one. Like, as a teacher, I've never really seen a teacher just want to go around the students with lunchtime to eat with the students. I've never really seen that. That one kind of like, why you would do that? Why you would want to eat around the students or eat with the students? It could be innocent, but that one kind of strange. Cause I've never really, well, teachers do it where I am sometimes, but it's if they have a bond with that class, or if it's their class and their students and they have that bond with the students, you would see it, not often, but once in a while you'd see the teacher eat around them, go around them, lunchtime, talk with them and so eat lunch with them. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not common. Well, for me, I never really did that commonly. But what you will see happen though, what you will see is the students coming around the teacher to eat lunch with the teacher. Now that's normal because the students, especially if it's their class, their form class, you would see students just come with their lunch and say, "Hey miss, hey sir, can I eat lunch with you?" And they say, "Sure, why not?" And they eat lunch with them and it's no big deal. You get what I'm saying? I have seen students just like two, three students just come saying, "Hey miss, hey sir, can I eat lunch with you?" Sure, why not? It's not really common, but you see it if there's that bond with the teacher, if there's that bond with the students and the teacher, if it's their class, you know what I mean? It's a nitro, it isn't common though, but usually a lot of students would be around a teacher. Yeah, I see that too. Like usually when it's lunchtime and so when usually the students would finish eating their lunch before the teacher and they would just hang out with the teacher, go around them, talk to them, probably eat lunch with them or just there talking with them, sitting with them, and it's no big deal. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you would see a teacher to go around the students to eat lunch with them. It's not common, but it would happen, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's if, as I said before, if there's that bond, if it's their classroom. Some teachers aren't jerks, then find out the teacher plays PlayStation. Yeah, things like that happen. Like the teacher is cool, the teacher plays games and all of that. Nothing wrong with that. So far, what I'm seeing is just normal things from a teacher side. But I think it's the culture difference in America with all of the Me Too movements and mindsets and over sexualization and all these things. I think those things are now just seen as a red flag based on the environment. I'm not sure. Now you're talking games at lunch and now you're paying more attention in class because your teacher is cool. Yeah, that happens too. When you're cool with the teacher and you can relate to the teacher, you find that common ground and you, there's just that bond just builds. And there's nothing off-putting or nothing sinister or weird or creepy with that bond. It's just an innocent bond, bruh. So I'm not really seeing what she's seeing. I can see where it can be taken the wrong way, but to me, it's just regular teacher things.
I'll catch up with you in a minute.
Once Sharon leaves, Mr. Riley proposes a secret rendezvous with Maria at Chez Rene, which is a very upscale restaurant in their town with a signature dessert called the Flaming Eddie. He tells
All right, no, this. I don't know if I've ever seen teachers like invite students to meet with them outside of school. That one, I guess that one can be looked at as as like a red flag. I'm trying to see if I've never really done that and I've never really seen that where a teacher invites a student to meet with them outside of school in like a restaurant or somewhere like that. I can definitely see that one being a red flag. Like, why would you want to meet up with the student in a restaurant? Why? For what purpose? I guess I'll give her that one. That one kinda, I don't really see the reasoning behind that one, and I don't think I've seen that.
her not to tell anyone or they might get jealous.
All right, that is weird. That is weird.
I'd love for you to meet me at Chez Renee's for lunch. Say, one-ish?
Chez Renee? I'd love to.
Don't spread it around, though. I don't want anyone to be jealous.
Other than this,
That's kind of weird. I won't lie, that one is kind of weird. So far, everything that she's pointed out, I haven't really seen a qualm with it or innocent, but this is weird. This is a red flag. You go to a student, tell them to meet me at a restaurant, don't tell anyone or they'll get jealous. What are you implying? That is weird. That is weird. That is weird. That is like you're asking them on a date and then you'll tell them don't tell anyone or else they might get jealous. What? What do you mean by that? That one is a red flag. I can't see the reasoning for that. That one is just weird. That one is a red flag. You don't do that as a teacher. Why is it that you're telling a student, meet with me at a restaurant, don't tell anyone or they'll get jealous? It's like you're asking them on a date. You're suggesting the wrong thing to their impressionable mind. That one is a no-no. I don't know if he invites her parents though and was rewarding her for what she did in class. Oh, well, with that context, well, I didn't have that context. Just looking at it at face value here, just seeing it like this, that sounds weird. Because I have no context. Out of nowhere, he just says to her, "Meet me here, don't tell anyone or they'll get jealous." I have no more context.
This whole encounter throwing red bricks at my head. I was trying to figure out how Mr. Riley was able to afford Shay Renee on a substitute teacher's salary, but anyway, of course, your best friend doesn't count when someone tells you not to tell anybody. So when Maria shares this information with Sharon, she is completely creeped out.
Let me guess. Riley asked you to marry him? Close. Mr. Riley, I mean Chris, is taking me to Chez Renee tomorrow. What? Isn't that kind of weird? Well, what's weird about it? He likes me. We're gonna hang out.
And after Maria learns that Mr. Riley's first name is Chris, which he tells her is what the reservation is under, she starts to call him that instead. She even equates him asking her to the restaurant as him basically asking her to marry him. Sharon is trying to put some sense into Maria's head that this is extremely weird for a teacher to be asking to hang out after school, which is correct. No other
Yeah,
way
that
around
that is weird.
But
That
Maria
is weird.
thinks that Sharon is just hating on the fact that someone likes her now for just being herself, since Sharon is usually the one that the boys go after.
Meeting outside of school? I mean, he is our English teacher. Can't you just be happy for me, Sharon? Sharon, I have been listening to you go on about Alden forever, and now I finally found someone special who thinks I'm special back, and you can't handle it.
But Sharon quickly points out that Maria has been doing everything but being herself in order to get Riley's attention, from the skirts to the platform shoes to even wearing her hair down. Word gets around quick that Mr. Riley is taking Maria to Chez Renee because, of course, no one ever keeps their mouth shut at this school, thank God. And I noticed that this happens a lot in the show, where Sharon tells something to Maria or her boyfriend Alden, and it just becomes a domino effect of gossip, which is really parallel to real life, honestly. Anyway, Alden ends up telling Brock about Mr. Riley's secret rendezvous with Maria, literally skin crawling as we speak, saying this.
If you're really interested, I am. Then you'd better step up and show her you care. He's taking her to Chez Renee's tomorrow. Wait, isn't that restaurant the most expensive place in town? Exactly, dude. You're gonna have to figure out a way to top that one.
And instead of this being a concern, Alden is delivering this information to Brock as if Brock and Mr. Riley are in a competition for Maria's heart.
Well, that's normal. Remember, they're children. This is how children think. He likes the girl, and the teacher is carrying out the girl. As boys, boys will be boys. They will think of it as a competition. They won't think of it as something concerning or wrong. They're children. They don't have the capacity to think like that. They're just seeing this as innocent, fun, play competition. They don't really have the insight to see deeper, to see what's going on. You get what I'm saying? These are just regular kids, bro. So you can't expect them to have that level of discernment. You know what I mean? They're just kids. They will see it that way.
Sharon, being worried for her, brings this information to her older brother Adam.
What if a teacher asked a student to meet him at Chez Renee's for lunch today?
Okay, that's totally creepy. A teacher taking a student out to the nicest restaurant in town? Sharon, are you the student in this scenario?
Adam immediately thinks that the student that she's talking about is herself. So Adam makes it a point to emphasize how creepy it is for a teacher to be taking a student out to a fancy restaurant. But of course, Sharon clarifies that the person is actually Maria. So he tells her that Mr. Riley is doing something completely illegal, and if he were her, he would be making sure that Maria is okay.
If what you're saying is true, then what this guy is doing is totally illegal. Listen, if I were you, I'd be making sure Maria's okay.
You're right. What was I thinking?
And as much as Sharon and Adam have a typical sibling dynamic where they get on each other's nerves, one thing I appreciated while I was watching this show is how level headed Adam can be when it comes to his sister, which is contrary to a lot of shows with sibling dynamics. Sharon and Adam are very supportive of each other and do not play when it comes to their siblings. Adam usually has words of wisdom to give to Sharon, and the only time that I can remember that he didn't was when he basically excused his grandfather for being racist when Sharon came to him with that concern, at least at the point of the show that I'm at.
Grampy isn't racist. Then why does he say things about people? You probably never noticed. It's not really obvious.
I think he may be a little prejudiced, but he's not racist.
What's the difference?
But he's nice most of the time, and funny, and generous. I think you're being overly sensitive.
This is interesting. As she mentioned, the sibling dynamic, that is interesting because most cartoons in that time, you would just have the siblings like they're mortal enemies to each other, but not really showing that real connection where they're real with each other, looking out for each other, giving each other insight, wisdom, playing off of each other. You know what I mean? But that's good. And honestly, having no context, hearing what that teacher did, that is completely a red flag. Without having any context or knowing anything more, if you just see that and hear that alone, that is completely a red flag. That's completely overboard. No teacher should be asking out a student to meet them anywhere, especially phrasing it in the way that says, don't tell anyone or they'll get jealous. Just the way how he phrased it and said it made it extremely a red flag. Seriously. You say Nitro, the Simpsons did it as well? Yeah, that's true with the sibling dynamic. Not really any wisdom or any character between the siblings, really. But I didn't really watch The Simpsons fully, so maybe they did and I don't know.
Maria puts on her best outfit to meet Mr. Riley, and Sharon zooms over there to intervene at Chez Renee. There was a small plot hole in this episode where Mr. Riley tells Maria that the reservation is under Chris Riley.
By the way, the reservation's under my full name, Chris Riley.
Chris. His name's Chris. Wow.
So I was under the impression that when Sharon got there, that she was going to be turned away at the door when she asked for a reservation under Mr. Riley, but she was let right in.
Is there a table reserved for Mr. Riley? I'm here to meet him.
Which raises my eyebrow because how often does a minor come to this restaurant inquiring about a reservation with Mr. Riley? Sharon hides under the table and then Mr. Riley and Maria arrive. The conversation is really awkward and weird out of context and
Yo!
Maria arrive. The conversation is
Maria foot stink. Look there. She holding on for dear
really
life. Could
awkward.
they? Maria foot stink. Why them have to do that to Maria, bruh? Yo, she dying under that table. And she not wearing no socks, because she not wearing no socks. Yo, brother, if you have sweaty feet and you don't wear socks in your shoes, it will smell. Get some nice socks, thick socks, and you can put some cornmeal in there. The cornmeal help cut the scent, trust me. But bruh, she dying.
And weird out of context and low-key
Oh, you're
in
going to
context
Discord
too
now,
from
Nitro? Alright, good luck, Nitro.
really awkward and weird out of context and low-key in context too from what Sharon is hearing from underneath the table.
Wow, your sweet tooth's as big as mine.
It's my way of saying thanks.
Thanks? What was he thanking her for?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
It's okay.
To their surprise, though, a bunch of other students start piling in at the table, and here's where we find out that Mr. Riley invited a bunch of students to Chez Renee to thank them for being great students and to recruit them as tutors for his new project, the Volunteer Literacy Program.
As you
Hey, what's going on? John? Is everything good, John John? What's going on?
No, I work at a bunch of schools. As far as I'm concerned, you guys are the best and brightest from all my classes. I've invited you here today in the hope of recruiting you guys as tutors for my new project, the Volunteer Literacy Program.
The night quickly
I'm doing good, John John. Just here doing some reactions, having a good time, reacting to some things, having some conversations. I'm doing good. Are you good? Are you hydrated? Did you drink water? How was your day, bro?
Guys as tutors for my new project, the Volunteer Literacy Program.
The night quickly goes to crap when Sharon's head bumps into the table, knocking over all the flaming eddies and causing a huge fire, exposing Sharon's hiding place. They run off and Maria breaks down, saying that she just feels silly for thinking that this was a personal date between her and Mr. Riley.
Looks like you have nothing to be worried about. I'm glad. I'm so embarrassed. I thought he liked me.
Sharon is just glad that she came to her aid, even though there was nothing to be worried about. However, I still do think that him inviting only underage students and telling them not to tell anybody about this, and also not inviting any parental figures to chaperone this dinner, is still sketchy. And the fact that the restaurant allowed
Yeah, that was a red flag, honestly. Even with the context makes it seem a little better, more innocent, but the fact that he invited all of those children to the restaurant and he told them not to tell anyone or they'll get jealous. Nah, bruh, that's the wrong way to go about it. Seriously, that's a red flag. Because at the end of the day, you invited those kids and their parents have no idea what's going on and there's no parental supervision. You're the only adult there. What you should have done, yes, tell them to meet you there. No, don't tell them. What you should have done was ask them, tell them, hey, as a matter of fact, let me just get it. What you should have done was write a permission slip. Type up a permission letter with the signature bar at the bottom. In the letter, direct it to the parents of each student. Tell them that you have commended them for their work in your class. You are giving them a treat at this such and such restaurant. Do you approve or do you have their permission? Let the parents sign the forms, let them know the time, the event, and invite some of the parents to come. And then you allow them to come to the restaurant. That's the way how it should be done as a teacher. You should not be telling the students on their own not to tell anybody, come to this restaurant. No, that's the wrong way to do it. That's a red flag. That is wrong. That's no, that's past the boundary, bruh. No teacher or no teacher should ever do that. If you're setting up something like that, a permission slip should be written, addressed to the parents, a letter should be written, and you should ask for the parents' consent, invite some of the parents, let them know the time, the place, how they will be getting there, how they will be getting back, and then carry it out. That's how it should be done. What you say, John John? Your day was cool, you helped your grandma. Hey, that's good. Double your grandson. Double your grandson, bruh. Hope your grandma doing good. Yes, and Nitro, I think he asked their parents before he asked them. Okay, that makes it okay. If he asked their parents before asking them, that made it okay. But what was wrong was how he told them. He should never have told them, don't tell anyone, or you'll get jealous. That you should have never done that. That was where you went wrong, bro. John, she is good. Okay, that's good. Eh, oh yeah, we're almost to the end for real. Let's see what she has to
Out
say.
this is even crazier. And I honestly need the guest list for the past 90 days. I need to figure something out. This proposition to be a tutor for the volunteer literacy program was not what Maria had hoped for, so she declines this offer because she thought that Mr. Riley liked her and not 26 other students and her.
You'll make a great tutor. So? So, before you met Mr. Riley, that wasn't even in the cards. Just think of what he's given you.
Since when were you an optimist?
Since you needed me to be one.
In the end, Maria still doesn't like Brock because who would? But admits that she only enjoys his company when they all hang out together.
He's not the best part, believe me. It's the four of us hanging out.
So, any chance of like love with Brock?
Not really like love. Definitely not love love. More like barely tolerate.
I was scrolling feed and saw a meme that perfectly sums up my thoughts on this entire episode. And I think this may be the dilemma that Maria was in this episode. For me, in a predicament like this now, being 25, which Sharon says is old, and having way older men flirting with me just always gives me the ick, and I just immediately become just a girl in that moment. Of course, Maria should only be interpreting this situation as creepy as a minor. Sure, an older man could be nice in a cute girl dad way, but the cynicism in you just makes you question if there's a possibility for perversion as well, and how you
Yo, that is just so sad to me because innocent acts like that bond that the teacher, listen, the teacher just messed it. I don't think the teacher meant anything wrong or so. He's just a really nice guy, very expressive and so. He only went wrong with what he said, don't tell anybody or you'll get jealous. I don't know what to say about that. But it's just so sad that as a male or as a man, it's like anything you do, there's this undertone in society. There's this undertone wondering if perversion is there, wondering if, if there's some insidious or deviousness behind it. It can't just be something innocent and cool. There has to be an undertone, there has to be caution, there has to be a warning. And I think this stems to the over sexualization of our society. Nothing is sacred anymore. Nothing is innocent anymore. You know what I mean? Everything is just out there, explicit. Even with all the crimes and everything that's happening, the Me Too movement and all these things. It's cooked. You just have to be cautious with everything you do. You can't be too nice. You can't be too anything that comes off as flirty or too, you can't do that. You have to hold it back. You have to be aware of how this might seem, not what it is, how it might seem. And that's rough. It's rough.
handle these interpretations is completely different, right? Unfortunately, in this case, Maria was interpreting Mr. Riley's validation as flirting or romantic feelings. The only response to her interpreting Mr. Riley flirting with her is to report his ass to the authorities instead of pursuing him. And of course,
Yo! No, brother, that is so unfair. That is so, I don't agree with that. He is not actively going after her. He is not trying to do anything with her. He's just being his regular, normal self and his role as a teacher. But because someone else interpret what he did the wrong way and took it the wrong way, then they should report him because someone interpreted his innocence as something wrong. Yo, I don't know if anybody in the chat agrees with what I'm saying or at the very least understands what I'm saying. He is innocent. He's just being his innocent self. But because of the interpretation and how it seems, he should then be reported. The student is the one who misinterpreted what he did and took it as him liking her. So because of that, he should be reported and then lose his job and lose his career. Did you know that when you get reported as a teacher, you can lose your entire career and be blacklisted, even in other career paths as well? So he deserves that because someone interpreted what he did the wrong way, even though he had no intention of doing that at all. I don't know. I don't know.
It isn't just the flirting, right? She genuinely could have built a case on him, in my opinion, because it's the shoulder touching, the comments about him blushing at the things that she's saying to him, and most importantly, inviting her out to a secret rendezvous at Chez Renee. The SWAT team would have been coming down from the ceiling as soon as Maria and Mr. Riley stepped past that restaurant's threshold.
I don't think him making that blushing comment or touching her shoulder was a red flag or a bad thing. That is just a simple gesture, simple banter between a teacher and his student because there's a bond there. There's nothing perverted about that bond. And I'm talking from my experience being working in schools, working in a teacher role, what I've seen. Maybe it's a culture thing, maybe it's different here in Jamaica, but where he did go wrong is when he met her secret rendezvous at the restaurant. That's the only thing he did bad and as a red flag, and that can be used against him. I don't agree with him. As I said before, what he should have done, he should have written a letter to the parents, written a permission slip, let the parents sign the letter, let the parents sign the permission slip, tell the children what it is that we're meeting for this reason. Don't tell them, don't tell anyone, or you'll be jealous. Don't do that. Tell them why they're meeting there and tell them that it's a formal thing. You get what I'm saying? And that's how that should have been done. That is the only red flag and bad thing and questionable, weird, creepy thing that he has done in my eyes. Well, you say John John, but today's society he can't do it or be cautious of the situation. Yeah, that's true. In today's society, I can't do any of that. Yo, this is this is a crazy freeze frame. But yeah, as I mentioned, you just have to be cautious. Things are not really innocent or pure anymore. There's always an undertone. You get what I'm saying?
If they was dealing with me. Which is why it's important to have people like Sharon or Adam in her life to speak some sense into the situation and not an Alden or Brock feeding into this, trying to turn Brock into a more mature figure to match Mr. Riley's energy because that's what Maria likes. But of course, y'all know I always leave y'all with some closing questions. Do you think that Braceface actually handled this storyline responsibly, or was it just poor judgment in storytelling? And when you were a kid and you watched this episode, did you think that Mr. Riley was charming or creepy? Or did you not notice at all until rewatching it as an adult? Let me know. Also, warning, if you decide to binge watch Braceface, the theme song will become stuck in your head. But I hope you all enjoyed this video.
Hey, this was a good video. Shout out again to Alissa Jadyn. Hey, if anybody walk over to our channel, leave a like, show some love. I've been thinking what we should call. I know YouTubers these days or streamers have names for their audience. I don't know what I should name my audience. I don't know. But this was a good talking point. This was really good. There's a lot of nuance, a lot of things that goes into it. But hey, double video, double video, double talking points. I guess it can be debated, it can be, back and forth, but it was good.